This is it, the final objective, and it's the most hands-on of the entire course. No cloud console, no backup file, just you, a circuit board, and a soldering iron, because sometimes the only way to get the evidence is to open the device and read the chip directly. Welcome to IoT Device Investigation, where forensics meets hardware hacking and the firmware gives up secrets the manufacturer never meant you to see. Start with the easiest door, UART, the serial console. 4 pins on the board: power, ground, transmit, receive, often helpfully labeled J1 or DBG. Hook up a USB to TTL adapter, guess the baud rate, 115/200 is the usual, and open a serial terminal. What pops out? Boot messages spilling the firmware version, default credentials in plain text, and on shockingly many devices, an unauthenticated root shell. Interrupt the boot and you drop into the U-boot bootloader where you can dump NAND flash directly. UART is the path of least resistance. When UART is locked, go to JTAG. The IE1149 debug interface. It can read and write CPU registers, RAM, and flash, and single-step the processor. The catch is finding the pins: TDI, TDO, TCK, TMS. The tool for that, the JTAGulator by Joe Grant, which auto-identifies JTAG and UART pins and saves you hours of probing. Then connect with OpenOCD and dump the firmware image straight to evidence. JTAG reads the silicon directly, no password required. And when both are dead ends, chip off. The last resort because it's destructive. Identify the flash chip by its markings, desolder it with a hot air station, drop it in a reader like the CH341A, and pull a raw binary dump with flashrom. Less brutal is ISP, in-system programming. Clip onto the chip's legs without desoldering. The order of operations the exam wants: try UART first, then JTAG, and only chip off when everything else fails. Got the firmware? Back to Binwalk, the full workflow. Binwalk firmware.bin to map it, Binwalk-E to extract, and Binwalk-ME for recursive Matryoshka extraction when compression is nested. Know both flags. Inside, you'll hit a SCADA or JFFS2 file system, and then you hunt. grep for password in the config files, cat etc/shadow for hashes, and the devastating one, the SSH host key in etc. drop bear, because manufacturers share one key across every unit they ship. Extract it from one device, and you can impersonate all of them. Routers are their own beast, and the crown jewel is NVRAM, non-volatile RAM, where the router keeps its configuration. One command over the UART shell, NVRAM show, dumps everything. NVRAM get for the admin password, the SSID, the WPA passphrase, the WAN IP at last boot, every credential in the clear. NVRAM is to a router what the registry is to Windows, the single richest source of configuration evidence on the device. But routers hide a brutal forensic limitation, and the exam tests it. The /TMP directory is RAM-based, so the DHCP leases, the record of which device got which IP, leave in /TMP/DHCP.leases, and they vanish on reboot. Power cycle that router and your evidence of who was on the network is gone. So, while it's live, also grab the connection tracking table, NF contract, which reveals internal hosts talking to external IPs. That's how you spot a C2 callback, capture volatile data before you pull the plug. Smart speakers are witnesses in the room. An Amazon Echo, a Google Home, an Apple HomePod, they keep voice command history, with timestamps in the cloud. The Echo runs Fire OS Android-based, storing data under /data like any Android device. But the real evidence, the voice history, the smart home control logs showing exactly when the lights or the locks were triggered, lives in the Amazon or Google cloud, and you get it through the law enforcement portal with legal process. The speaker heard everything. The cloud remembers it. Finally, the highest stakes of all, ICS and SCADA, industrial control. The protocol to know code is Modbus, TCP port 502, with zero authentication. In a PCAP, watch the function codes. Code 06 writes a single register. Code 16 writes multiple. And an attacker changing set points uses exactly those to manipulate a physical process. DNP3 on port 20,000 runs the power grid. And the historian logs, OSI soft, PI and the like, record pressure, temperature and flow every second, proving the precise moment a cyber attack became a physical event. IoT Device Investigation in one breath. UART first. Serial console, often an unauthenticated root shell. JTAG next. Find the pins with a JTAGulator, dump with OpenOCD. Chip off last, destructive. Binwalk -E to extract, -ME for recursive, and shared SSH host keys are the killer find. Routers, NVRAM holds every credential, and /TMP DHCP, leases die on reboot, so capture volatile data first. Smart speakers store voice history in the cloud. SCADA, Modbus port 502, function codes 06 and 16 change the process. Historians timestamp the damage. And that is domain 15 complete, which means the entire CHFI course is complete. 15 domains, 30 objectives. From the chain of custody to cracking a chip with a soldering iron, you've covered all of it. Go pass that exam, you've earned it.